So, how can the topic of this car talk, this episode of car talk is how can a basketball skills trainer help encourage their athlete, their player, to improve their vertical jump while they're working with them? Alright, so I've got some suggestions and some thoughts about how one could do that. Alright? First of all, you have to keep him. This is probably the most critical component of it. So listen up. Rest. I know most coaches, I grew up during this time where you just beat people down. You work them hard so that they can improve. That's the goal, I know. But there is a point of diminished returns, alright? Yes, you want to push the athlete to the best of your ability. You want to make things as challenging as possible, right? I get it. I totally understand that. But, however, if you do that, you run the risk of one, burning them out, two, getting them injured in that moment, or you set them on the path to injury. And so you have to be very cautious as a trainer that you don't give the athlete too much stress. And this is what you have to start calling your workouts stress. When you pass, that's stress. Or trauma. Let's use trauma as a word. Whenever you pass the ball, that's one form of micro trauma. If that stuff adds up and let's say they've got a cup, right? You fill that cup full of micro trauma, it starts spilling out. The spilling out ends up being the injury. It may not be the injury in that moment. It may be some weird movement down the line where they're already sore and then bam, injury. Okay? So, you got, as a basketball trainer, how can you make sure that your athletes are recovered while at the same time helping them improve? I'm sorry, but you're going to have to do some math. Just a little bit. You have to quantify everything. How many reps they're doing, how much time they're resting, how many times they're jumping. You have to keep track of the volume of trauma that you're putting on their body. If you can keep track of it, the moment you see a spike in that physical activity, maybe not that day, but the day after, the next time you work with them, you have to reduce it. And I love the term trauma because it's not necessarily a bad thing, but as it starts to add up, it does become a bad thing. So when I'll give probably a better example. Hey, Jasenia Lopez. Hello, how we doing? What I would say is an example would be shooting, right? You've got some guys that are walking around with sleeves on the court. Some of them is just for show. I know that. But some of them actually do need it. And the reason why they need it is because they're jumping so much and they're landing on one foot, one leg primarily. And it's causing a lot of stress to the point where now there's pain in that area. Okay? So one, how do I stop that or how do I fix that? One, if it's on one side, chances are you're probably landing on that side too much when you're jumping. Two, if there's any form of pain, then you need to reduce the amount of trauma that you're putting on the body. And it's hard because sometimes you just want to go out and play. Like when I was a kid, I would just go out and ball. Wherever I found myself, I would go play. And I'm sure other people do the same thing. But in order order to minimize the chances for injury, you have to keep the amount of trauma that you put on the body, the shoulders, the knees, the hips, the ankles. You have to keep it within a certain range, within a certain threshold. Now, if you're trying to push it, you can do that, but you have to do it at the right time of the year. And during the season isn't the time of the year. All right? So rest. How, as a basketball trainer, can I help my athlete get better at jumping, improve their vertical jump? How can I do that? You have to let them rest. Now, one, they've got to jump. And when you're in those drills, when you have them doing those drills, whether you got them, if you're throwing alley-oops or you're having them jump for defense, I don't think most trainers and people do defense, but I could be wrong. They have to jump at their maximum capability. It can't be just enough, because then you end up having to do it over and over again. And you have to accept as a trainer that they are doing it at their maximum, and there are going to be days where it looks like they didn't work hard. It looks like they didn't work hard, but that doesn't mean that they didn't improve. And there's got to be a discrepancy, and you have to weigh the alternatives. Do you want them to look like they worked out, or do you want the ramifications, the results of them working out? You want them to improve. So you have to weigh those options and see what makes more sense for you. I think I know which one you're going to pick, but hey, you got to determine what makes sense. Because I've seen people that do personal training or strength and conditioning want people to look like they're working hard, and you want them to feel like they're working hard, but at the same time they're not making progress. And so that's what we want to do. We want to make sure that it's demanding enough that they're able to recover. Please charge on my phone number. What the heck does that mean? I don't know what's going on. All right, backing it up. You got to make sure that it's demanding enough, but there's enough time for them to recover. These people just, I don't know what is going on. How's your day going? It's going great, thank you. But my thought is, make them work as hard as they can, let them recover, and then the next session you do it again. But maybe if there's a spike in physical activity, you did a lot of jumping, you did a lot of shooting, what you should be doing is then making sure that they have time to recover. That's what's most important. All right. So then I kind of alluded to what else needs to happen in terms of improvement and how a trainer can help somebody improve. They have to start jumping. They have to add some form of plyometrics to their training with you, or as a separate session. They need to be doing that. They need to do some form of resistance training, not just jumping, but also some form of resistance training, because the stronger the muscles get, the more power they can generate. You have a fixed cup, right? Let me use the cup analogy again. With your strength, you have one cup, right? Fixed amount that it can hold. If you strength train, you get a bigger cup. So strength training helps you in that regard. People think, oh, well, I don't need to do any strength training. You may be gifted enough where you're good. You don't need to do any extra. If that's you, that's perfectly fine as an athlete. But what I'm saying is, if you do want to improve your capabilities of improving your power, your ability to jump or to throw, strength training is the way to do that. All right? So as a basketball skills trainer, make sure that your athletes are doing some form of strength training. It doesn't have to be 12 leg exercises. It doesn't have to be 5 plyometric exercises. It doesn't have to be that. And it doesn't have to be 30 jumps. It just has to be intentional. They have to do those things. And again, you have to pay attention, write down or pay attention, how much volume, how much are they jumping? All right, well, Sammy did, I don't know, 30 jumps, and tomorrow, We'll see how he feels. Okay, tomorrow comes by. He's got sore quadriceps, his glutes are sore, everything else is sore. And so, I don't know, maybe we can keep jumping or maybe we shouldn't jump. My guess is you probably shouldn't be doing any jumping. You might want to foam roll, you might want to stretch, you might want to do something a little different. And if you're doing skill development work, maybe it's just, going through, you can still do jump shooting, I would imagine. But maybe for the most part, it's ball handling drills. I don't know. It just depends on what you got going on. So, rest, making sure that you're doing some form of plyometric work, and then also making sure you do some form of resistance training for your legs. All right, and then stretching. Stretch the muscles, all the muscles of the lower body, every single one of them. And you don't have to do it for very long, 30 seconds, twice, every muscle group, and then you're good. Any questions about exercise? And not my day. My day's going great. I'm going to work. This is me going from one place to the next to do some training. But I figured since I have some downtime, this is the perfect time for me to go talk to people or impart some information that I have in my brain about exercise. Then I can use this to give to other people too. But yeah, it sounds like it's my first day doing this for sure. Any other questions? I got 14 people in chat. I'm just talking about how trainers, basketball trainers or coaches can help their athletes get better verticals, to jump higher. So if you have questions, shoot them in the chat. I'll give you another 2 or 3 minutes. I still got about 10 minutes before I get to work. So if anybody has any questions about how to improve vertical jump or what to do for strength training for vertical jump, what stretches to do, have any questions about stuff like that, let me know. Keep your eyes on the road. Jose Joe's in pro. Oh, well, hey Joe, how's it going? Keep my eyes on the road. Well, you don't have to be here. No one's making you. Thank you for your help, Joe. All right, well, I wish everybody a very nice, beautiful day. Maybe not Joe, whoever that guy is. I'm just kidding. Take care, and until the next video. Peace.